Welcome to the From the Pure Land podcast. This, I believe, is the 19th episode of the podcast. I'm Mel Pine. I write a blog almost daily, every day or two. There's a blog post, and every week I try to record a podcast to go along with it. You can read my blog and listen to the podcasts at melpine.substack.com. That's melpine.substack.com. This one is called The 8 Worldly Winds: How to Avoid Being Blown Off the Path. Often in Buddhist texts, the 8 worldly concerns make their appearance. This verse, for example, is part of my daily practice. I will learn to keep all these practices untainted by thoughts of the 8 worldly concerns. May I recognize all things as like illusions, and without attachment, gain freedom from bondage. So what are the concerns that taint daily life? The Buddha lists them in the Lakavipati Sutta. As translated by Thanissaro Bhikkhu, the sutta begins, "Monks, these 8 worldly conditions spin after the world, and the world spins after these 8 worldly conditions. Which 8? Gain, loss, status, disgrace, censure, praise, pleasure, and pain. These are the 8 worldly conditions that spin after the world, and the world spins after these 8 worldly conditions." That passage never struck me as profound until I saw the word concerns translated as winds. Yes, I can see that better as winds, understand it better as winds. Most of us bend to the winds of gain, loss, status, disgrace, censure, praise, pleasure, pain. So first, the winds of gain and loss. Now, I hate to make assumptions about people, but most likely, if you have the interest, time, and resources to read or listen to From the Pure Land, you already have everything you need to be happy. Yet we get attached to whether we're winning or losing. I remember being amused by the phrase, "He who dies with the most toys wins." We all understand the absurdity of the statement, yet we behave as though our satisfaction with life is intertwined with our material gains and losses. If you've ever been involved in buying or selling homes, you know how ego can be attached to that $250 gap between seller and buyer during negotiations. At the other end of the spectrum, we all understand that baseball superstar Juan Soto could live a satisfying life by continuing to play for the New York Yankees, yet chose the slightly better $765 million 15-year contract offered by the Mets, which reportedly includes a private suite for his family to use during home games. Have we gained or lost anything in worldly transactions like that one? Have we truly gained or lost anything? The winds of status and disgrace. We like to say that we're not status conscious, but on deep contemplation, we might find areas where that's not true. Do we worry about what our friends will think of us if our house isn't spotlessly clean when they visit? If we dress too formally or too informally for an occasion? If we express the wrong opinion for our social set? If our child chooses a life path that doesn't meet our expectations or our friends' expectations? On the other hand, do we feel pride when we stand out positively from the herd? Do we feel pride when we ask a question demonstrating our superior knowledge of the subject matter being discussed? Pride on being the first to congratulate or express sympathy to another? Or when our child completes a PhD? I've mentioned before my sense of failure when I didn't live up to my own and my social world's financial expectations. If you're like me, you care what strangers think of you as you shop in the supermarket. Those winds of status and disgrace are indeed strong. Now, that's not to say you should completely disregard those feelings. There are often good reasons to care about what others think of us. It wouldn't be wise, for example, to strip naked in a shopping mall. As with so much else, though, the middle path invites us to chart a course that avoids both being attached to status and living in fear of disgrace. The winds of censure and praise. Our ego has been active from around 18 months, encouraging us to stand out from the crowd. Some of us thrive on negative attention, some on positive. That's probably a healthy stage to go through if we're to fit in this relative dual world. But that ego doesn't want to stop once it gets started. It continues to do its best to divert us from recognizing how intensely interrelated we all are. It wants us to stand out. In an article in the Tricycle Buddhist Review, the Dalai Lama admitted that when giving a talk, he sometimes wonders whether the hearers will praise him. But he realizes those thoughts are what he calls dreadful because, and here's the quote, when we receive praise or criticism, or whether we receive praise or criticism, is of no account. The only important thing is that we have a pure motivation and let the law of cause and effect be our witness. If we are really honest, we can see that it makes no difference whether we receive praise and acclaim. The whole world might sing our praises, but if we have done something wrong, then we will still have to suffer the consequences for ourselves, and we cannot escape them. If we act only out of a pure motivation, all the beings of the three realms can criticize and rebuke us, but none of them will be able to cause us to suffer. According to the law of karma, Each and every one of us must answer individually for our actions. The winds of pleasure and pain. A scoop of chocolate ice cream is a pleasure I've experienced hundreds, maybe thousands of times. I don't mind admitting I'd be glad to experience it again. But I know it will leave me feeling temporarily full, but never fulfilled. Temporarily full, but never fulfilled. A dislocated hip is the worst physical pain I've ever felt. I've experienced it 3 times, and don't mind admitting that I hope never to feel that much pain again. But if that much pain returns, I'll know that breathing and resting in deep awareness of my breath and my pain, that will bring me through it without the second arrow of anxiety and worry. The second arrow that brings the unnecessary pain along with the physical pain. I'll remember that the pain is impermanent. As with all 8 winds, the compass heading is between attachment and aversion to avoid being blown off the path. If we avoid the extreme of attachment and the extreme of aversion, we'll walk the path of equanimity. And why don't we just take a few moments of breathing in silence to rest in that equanimity. You might breathe in with your nose and breathe out with your mouth. May you all rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to the 8 worldly winds.